Because if you say fetuses are not people, then they don't have that inherent worth and dignity and value that we're talking about. For the second half of the video, we are going to talk about some of the arguments from the pro-choice side. The first argument we're going to talk about, which Rebecca's going to tackle, is a woman can do what she wants with her body.
I'm sure you all know the term, my body, my choice. I've probably seen it on every single Instagram story. People just like to throw that around and say, my body, my choice, you have nothing to say to that. And I would say it's not your body. And I know that's the stereotypical, my body, my choice, it's not your body. That's the argument. But it's not your body, because scientifically, babies in the womb who are not yet born have their own set of DNA. And I think that's the biggest part, is that you have your own set of DNA and your baby has another set of DNA. They're separate DNA. You don't get two, you only have one. Yes, it's living and growing inside of you, but that doesn't mean it's you. And I think that's where it kind of gets messed up. And no one's saying that it doesn't affect your body, because
right, obviously
it does. There are plenty, like, not only do you have a bigger stomach,
nice,
fattened, elongated,
enlarged,
rounded.
Oh my gosh.
Your stomach is larger because you're growing a human being inside of it. But you also face the effects even like a year after you give birth. There are plenty of things that women have like testimony to, of the things that have happened to their bodies after giving birth.
Yeah.
And some of those are hard. You go through when the baby's inside of you and after the baby's inside of you, lots of things happen to your body. And no one's discrediting that. I think women are so strong because they will literally destroy their bodies to bring a child in, to
That's
make
beautiful.
life. Like, we have the ability to make life. That's crazy. That's crazy. So yes, it's gonna mess up your body a little bit. So I understand when you say, like, it's my body, my choice. I don't want it to disrupt my body. However, back to the inviting a child in, you gave consent to that child to be inside your body. So yeah, I guess that's the argument that I see a lot, that I feel like I don't really know how you can actually back it up scientifically, logically, at all.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest one.
So the next argument, it's not really an argument to be honest, but earlier today I was researching for this video and I was looking up best pro-choice arguments, because I was like, I want to make sure that I'm addressing the things that the most people think and believe. And the first thing that came up was the whole claim of you're not pro-life if you don't support taxpayer-funded healthcare, open borders, Green New Deal, what have you. Like, all of these often liberal left ideas that people want, we say, you're not pro-life if you don't support this. And I just want to address that quickly, because it just surprised me that that was the first argument that came up, because it's not actually an argument about anything related to abortion. Mm-hmm. It's not talking of, it's almost like the pro-choice side has conceded and said, you're right, we are killing babies, but guess what? You're not doing all these other things, so take that. We still have the moral high ground. That's what it felt like. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to put motives into other people. It's just, that's how it comes across. The truth of the matter is, if you cannot agree with us about the fact that we should not be killing children who are inside of a mother's womb, you don't have any right to say what is or is not pro-life. If we're on the same page and we can say we both agree that abortion is wrong, then we can talk about what other things would be in line with this pro-life philosophy. But if you can't agree with the basics, you're not pro-life, and you can't tell us what pro-life is. Pro-life is specifically about abortion. It's not about healthcare. It's not about the foster care system. It's not about adoption. And all of these things are important things that should be talked about. But just because we don't agree with a new leftist idea that's being pushed forth does not mean that we are all of a sudden not pro-life. The people who don't agree with abortion get to decide what is pro-life and what is not pro-life.
And it's, okay, let's say you're pro-choice and you stand behind the my body, my choice. This past year, COVID, masks, vaccination, so many things that affect my body. If I came up to you and I said, I don't have to wear a mask because it's my body. I don't have to get vaccinated because it's my body. A lot of people have said pro-choice is about abortion. That's my body, my choice is about abortion. Or another fun one is it's not just affecting you. It's affecting others. And I think
it's like
it doesn't work.
It's like the same thing. It's like the same thing with abortion. Oh my gosh, that's actually crazy.
Yeah, so I think there are just a lot of different arguments on that end that if you're going to say that to pro-life, you have to take it on your side too.
And she wouldn't be able to, like, you would not let her go up to you and be like, yeah, I'm pro-choice too. Like, I'm not getting the vaccine. That's why I'm pro-choice. And you'd be like, you're not pro-choice. Like, the basic understanding for being pro-choice is for being for abortions or for the mother's choice to get an abortion. Mm-hmm. It's not always, the pro-choice argument of what people say is that it's not always for abortions, it's for the mother's choice to get abortions. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, you don't mind that women are getting abortions.
Mm-hmm. Just my quick little thing, because you had mentioned adoptions and fostering and all of that stuff, and that is another argument because there are lots of arguments that we can talk about, and there are probably some that we're not talking about. But that's one that I hear a lot of, well, if you're pro-life, then why aren't you adopting? Why aren't you fostering? Why aren't you doing things in that area? And one, I would say that Christians and just religious institutions are the majority of people who are adopting, fostering, orphanages, all of that stuff is mainly religious people.
Yeah.
So
if you say, why aren't you doing this thing? The fact is, we are.
We are.
Actually.
I understand that sometimes people say, well, I can't keep this child, and I don't want to put it through the foster system because I know that it's a broken system and there are lots of flaws with it, and kids get stuck there until they're 18, and then I agree. I think children should have a mother and a father in a household. I think they need to have people who are caregiving over them. I think that is so incredibly important, especially with a Christian mindset of a family.
Yeah.
I think children need to have, again, this might be a little controversial, a mother and a father in their life supporting them. So obviously, I think it's great. I want the foster system to be fixed and brought up. So I guess my thing is, why don't you guys who are saying the foster system's broken, so I'm going to get an abortion instead of subjecting my child to that, instead of giving money to Planned Parenthood, why don't all that money go to foster care systems so that we can build up that system and give support to families who are fostering or anything like that? Because all of this money is going to Planned Parenthood.
When it could be used for much better causes. So abortion is a very heavy topic, and it affects a lot of women, and it affects them very personally and deeply. And we recognize that there are women, even I'm sure, who watch this video, who have had an abortion and who feel guilt and shame and conviction over it. And I don't want you to get to the end of this and think they hate me, they're looking down on me for this. Because really what I want you to know and what I want you to hear is that in Jesus, when you put your faith and your trust in him, you can have new life. And the sin that you've committed in the past and the things that you've done that are wrong, those can be paid for and they can be wiped clean. You can have a clean slate, absolutely. Because when Jesus died on the cross, every sin was paid for. And you can participate in that too, and you can feel the freedom of life with Christ, no matter what you've done before and whether or not you've had an abortion or not. Like, yeah, it's just awesome. Jesus is wonderful. So I just wanted to say that because this is a heavy topic, and I just want you to know that there is redemption and there is freedom for people who have not done things perfectly. We're talking about the specific area, but obviously Becca and I have done so many wrong things so many times in our life, and we're not up here on this moral high ground saying everyone who gets an abortion is horrible, because the truth is we're all so sinful, and that's why we need Jesus. The other thing is, obviously, if we were sitting down and talking with somebody face to face who had had abortion or not had an abortion, we're going to approach this probably a lot more gently than we are right now. We're simply stating our reasons for why we're pro-life and some reasons we have against the pro-choice position. But if we're sitting down with somebody, we're not going to be talking as bluntly as we are. So please let's just give each other some grace if you can. Don't comment like, wow, they're horrible people, like I'd never want to talk to them, because we would obviously approach an interpersonal relationship differently than filming something to go on YouTube. But since this is a conversation, would love to hear all of your thoughts, whether you have things that you agreed with or whether you had things that you disagreed with, things that you think we had missed. We'd love to respond to those. And if there are things that we want to keep talking about, we could always make a part 2. So let us know if there's anything we missed, and we will see you next week. Make sure to like this video if you liked Becca being in it, and don't dislike it if you didn't, because that's bad for the algorithm. All right, have an awesome week, have an awesome life.